For months, Kohberger sat stone-faced in court, refusing to show emotion, refusing to explain why 4 college students were slaughtered in their home while they slept. He thought he could outsmart the system, but in the end, he folded. A plea deal, admitting guilt in exchange for taking the death penalty off the table. No trial, no cross-examination, just paperwork and a lifetime behind bars. And for some, that's not enough. Because when someone like Kohberger, a man who studied killers, wrote to prisoners, and tried to commit the perfect crime, gets to live while his victims never had a chance to scream, you have to ask yourself, where is the justice?
A lot of damage control is going around on YouTube right now. You got Crime Circus deleting videos as we speak about how he said Bryan Kohberger was being set up. Now, when you have Bryan Kohberger admitting and taking a plea deal, a lot of people are starting to back away and hide in the bushes like the Homer Simpson meme. I do want to start off by saying this. To me, this is one of the stupidest plea deals this criminal could have made, and I'll explain why. I am happy that there's closure for the family because he did commit the crimes and he's admitted to it. But his chances go from whatever percent it was, even though they had DNA and all this stuff, to 0 to now spending life in prison. There was a chance at one time Bryan Kohberger could have walked free.
Therefore, with respect to count 1, burglary, felony, how do you plead, Mr. Kohberger, guilty or not guilty?
Guilty.
As to count 2, murder in the first degree, as it relates to the murder of Madison Mogen, how do you plead, guilty or not guilty?
Guilty.
As to count 3, as it relates to murder in the first degree for the murder of Kaylee Gonzalez, how do you plead, guilty or not guilty?
Guilty.
As to count 4, the first-degree murder of Xana Kernodle, a human being, how do you plead, guilty or not guilty?
Guilty.
As to count 5, the first-degree murder of Ethan Chapin, a human being, how do you plead, guilty or not guilty?
Guilty.
Defendant entered the residence, went to the 3rd floor, and with a knife, killed Madison Mogen and Kaylee Gonzalez.
Now, the lady responsible for inspiring Bryan Kohberger to commit these murders, his own professor, Dr. Catherine Ramsland. Now, this was reported on the New York Times, and she comes out and says that she was stunned when she found out about Bryan. She goes on to say, they must have this wrong. This has to be wrong. It's not the Bryan Kohberger that I know. At DeSales University, where Mr. Kohberger got a master's degree in criminal justice in 2022, and this was Bryan Kohberger's idol. She's wrote books, The Mind of a Murderer and How to Catch a Killer. And what's crazy is she was very self-aware that her courses could make people go out and commit murders, but it sounds like she's late on this. But she also said in her time with Mr. Kohberger, she never had that concern. He was very polite, respectful, seemed generally engaged with the material as a potential researcher, teacher, somebody who was interested in a career, she says. After Mr. Kohberger's arrest in December 2022, weeks after the murders, she expected he would clear his name. But then she found it odd that Mr. Kohberger was not offering an alibi. When one finally did emerge more than a year later, the case began, Mr. Kohberger said that he has been out driving around at night of the killings. Now, this is where she responds weird. It's almost like she's critiquing how he did it. So she says, I thought, that's not an alibi. You know it's not. It's interesting to me that she's focusing on the alibi. That's not the only mistake Bryan Kohberger made during these murders. You got the DNA at the scene. You got the cell phone activity. But in her mind, she's acting like he could fight those things. But then alibi, him not having an alibi right at the get-go was a half-ass effort, and that's what the way she's looking at it. If I'm capping, I'm napping. Now, she's not the only female in Bryan Kohberger's life that has groomed or even influenced him to do this. Bryan Kohberger's mother and his 2 sisters knew what type of animal he was. There was many red flags. Now, the mother even wrote in this newspaper that the death penalty should be off the table. So is this why he took a plea deal? Now, this is Kaylee's father talking about how he forgives the parents, but he obviously says that there were some red flags.
The same job responsibilities as my wife. It's really weird. Most people don't know that. But my wife teaches at a school, so does she. They actually have the same certificate of learning. So I just see them as a family that
Now, all the other families agreed to this plea deal besides Kaylee's mom and dad, and it's just sad, man. I actually feel really, really bad for him, bro. I ain't gonna lie to anybody. Everyone's like, they're actually like fed up with these parents saying, man, the justice has been served.
Staying outside as a former protester?
Yeah. This isn't our agreement. We didn't agree to this.
Yeah. How do you feel knowing they just, you agreed on something and then they just completely backfired?
We didn't agree on anything. He only negotiated with the murderer of our children. That was the only person that he negotiated with. He didn't give us the common courtesy to negotiate with us, even pretend. He could have just pretended and then lied, but he didn't even pretend. He basically said, your guys' input isn't needed. I'm putting this all on Thompson and Flatshaw County. They tore that house down. They've done everything to hide this. Why did this get done over the weekend? As soon as the investigation starts, they're cowards. They're running from it.
Now, he has a good point. Why did they tear that house down? There's always that possibility. Now that Kohberger has pled guilty and then people say he's folded, maybe he's not folded. Maybe he's not speaking up for the person that helped him do this, because the dad obviously says there's more to this than we don't know. Now, what the prosecution did was ridiculous. They backdoored him and they made a deal with Kohberger, and the parents of Kohberger knew about this before the victims even knew about it. The reason why, and you can hear this right here, Kaylee's dad said he knew when they got their flight. He knew their flight plans already. So he knew that they knew already to come in and take this plea deal. Now, he just spoke again just a little while ago. And honestly, man, this puts a tear in my eye, man. I feel so bad for this guy. And this, man, condolences to everybody involved.
Shame on me for not listening. Shame on me for letting Kaylee down. It's my mistake. I'm sorry, Kaylee. I'm truly sorry that I didn't get you a prosecutor who really believed what happened to you could only be fixed with life. Fixed, you killed 4 people, and to take 1 life for 4 seems like pretty simple math. But these guys describe this as a win, even though they don't ask us what a win looks like. So I'm sorry. I apologize to my daughter. I let her down, and it's been a terrible day. It's been terrible.
This the death of the Kohbergers. This boy is guilty, yeah, this is slow murder, huh? This the death of the Kohbergers. This boy is guilty, yeah, it's a slow burner. You don't think he's really guilty? I know that you is a grifter. You ain't no journalist, you just a stupid content creator. He's gonna get the chair, Kohberger's gonna meet his maker. If you don't go along with Kohbergers, then you's a hater. Well, Dylan, she was in a dream, she didn't see anything. Well, what the fuck you mean? He went back to the bucket seat. He tried to go and get his sheet. Now all these victims on the tee, and you ain't gotta feel a thing. It's easy for you to say free because this ain't your family. Get the fuck up off your knees. Stop sucking on the killer's D. You know that boy is super guilty. I don't wanna talk about a selfie. This boy looking super slimy. Dracula on shorts. He took that shit. It's about the timing. You don't really think he's not guilty? Yeah, you know you be lying. If these were my kids, I would've already found them before the whole cops got them. I would've stabbed them. I would've drowned them. I would've went on trial, proudly with my family behind me. This wasn't a perfect crime, Bryan. Yeah, you did it lousy. Let me get up in that system just to get on what up, howdy. Bullet holes in your white car before you get up out the county. I kill him quicker than he did. That's just how they found me. This the death of the Kohbergers. This boy is guilty, yeah, this is slow murder, huh? This the death of the Kohbergers. This boy is guilty, yeah, it's a slow burner. You don't think he's really guilty? I know that you you is a grifter. You ain't no journalist, you just a stupid content creator. He's gonna get the chair, Kohberger's gonna meet his maker. If you don't go along with pro burgers, then you's a hater.